Sonke Gender Justice is an organization that works for human rights, looking at promoting the rights of women. And our specific focus is the engagement of men in the work that we do, because we believe that if you want to deal with issues of gender equality, you have to include both men and women. We were at that time developing what we now call the white paper on families. So Sonke was one of the civil society organizations that were participating in contributing to that document. And Sonke actually brought in the element of the involvement of fathers in parenting space. So the main goal of Sonke then was to create that awareness amongst fathers.
We saw the benefits that come with men having more time in engaging with the children. So Sonke then did, a lot of work by engaging other stakeholders, by engaging policymakers in motivating for more parental leave.
We started the Men Care campaign with Promundo at the time, as Equimundo was called at the time. And Men Care was basically an attempt to bring organizations working on fatherhood, men and care, and gender equality together into a movement and a campaign for particular shifts at an individual level, but also at a structural level.
So it was at that space that Sonke was encouraging men to be involved, in gender equal parenting, just also to assist women to be able to engage in economic activities outside the home.
Sonke used it in South Africa to back up the arguments for parental leave, created a lot of legitimacy for the global data. Because it was actually used. So it's not only a report that sits on the shelf somewhere, but it was used as an advocacy instrument.
The advocacy then started to say, okay, men were saying, okay, yes, we want to be involved, but we are at work, we can't do that. So then we realized there's a gap. Then there's a need then to engage with government to say, if this is what we are preaching to the men, also policies must support that. So because the work at Sonke is always supported by policy.
But as those consultations were going on, Sonke was one of the organizations that had participated in contributing language, and we had suggested that the Department of Labor and the Department of Social Development consider parental leave for fathers. And at the time, we had referred to it as paternity leave.
So by the time the Department of Labor was reviewing the labor laws, it was just on the tail of the white paper on families, which captured issues and the importance of parental leave. So it flowed into each other.
And as Men Care took on momentum as a global campaign, one of the key resources that we had developed as a campaign was called the Men Care Parental Leave Platform. And it listed 10 components to what good parental leave looks like that will have an impact on care equality. We then, with the women's rights organizations that we had initially consulted with, Sonke and another women's rights organization called Mosaic Women's Center in Cape Town, had then developed a position paper with help from the University of Johannesburg, the research team at the Center for Social Development. And this position paper then became a document that we could amplify.
Civil society structures are also able to write what we call shadow reports, to say government will say this, but us on the ground, this is what we are seeing. So this is our shadow report, so that at least there's that balance. Then sometimes maybe our government will then pick up from the shadow report to say, oh, okay, maybe we missed something here. Let's engage with the structures and see how we can to remedy the situation.
So what Sonke did was then approach Parliament to say, we want to present to you this policy to increase the number of paternity leave days, because 3 days was just a drop in the ocean. Of course, there was a back and forth, because you remember that we still living in a patriarchal society, and for some parliamentarians, the risk of adopting such a policy, I mean, them as majority men would also kind of tie them to get into more care work?
We did depend on the world data, on the World Policy Center data, to compare different countries in Africa to what South Africa was doing, and basically explain to members of parliament that South Africa is lagging behind other countries in Africa, like Kenya, for example, where we are now, which had already approved 10 days. And that, I think, was an important lever for us, have a kind of a psychological impact on the members of parliament who want to maintain South Africa's status as a leader on the continent.
Sonke's advocacy in other civil society structures that were part of the network that advocated for that, until the level then that the bill was passed. So then the government then went on to approve 10 days parental leave. The world is big and diverse, right? As Sonke, we cannot be everywhere. We need the collaborations.